today. It's a pleasure for me to talk about the democratic experience in Ecuador. I have to tell you first of all that all this presentation is about my personal opinion and my personal approach about the democratic issues in Ecuador. And of course, all of your ideas will be welcome. And the interesting fact is that I pretend to have an interaction conversation with you. During this time, we will talk about some history aspects of Ecuador, some political organizations in Ecuador, the main political parties that we have there. We will talk too about their last election that ran on Sunday, February 18, the new challenges facing the democracy in Ecuador, and I will present you a short video about Ecuador just to show you how it looks like. I don't know if you know in which continent is Ecuador. Does anybody know?
Australia.
Of course, Ecuador is in South America, as you can see, between Peru and Colombia. Always the people get confusion and they say, are you part of Peru? Are you part? Yes, we are. In the past, we are a part of the Gran Colombia. That's why many people confuse. We are brother countries, actually. And we are a really small country between Colombia and Peru. Here's the video. And unfortunately, we didn't get the audio, but you can see the image. And you can imagine how beautiful it is.
We're having technical difficulties with the audio.
It's a just short video, 45 seconds. And some important indicators about the country is that we have the same size like Oregon here in the United States. We are 258 square kilometers. We have a population of 14.5 million of population. And our currency since 2000 is US dollar. In the past we have sucre, but we changed our economy for dollars, and we have dollar economy. Talking about some democratic indicators, it's important to say that until 1979, we had 10 years of dictatorship military, and after this period, we begin a democratic period in Ecuador. The first 17 years, between 1979 and 1996, we have 5 elected presidents in 17 years. Everything was normal. But between 1996 and 2006, we have 7 presidents in 10 years. Almost 1 president by year. That means that every president who have wrongs, a very huge wrongs, during this period, we defeat him. We begin with Abdallah Bucaram, a Lebanese man. The principal reason because he was defeated is because he stole a lot of money from the country, and everybody knows that because it was very transparent in this kind of stolen. And only for 4 hours, his vice president, Rosalía Arteaga, the only woman who pretends to be a president in the country, was in the power. But because she didn't have any support, base support with civil society, and she was a woman, of course, she only was 4 hours in the power. Oh. After that, Fabián Alarcón, the president of the assembly, was in the power, and he finished the period. After this time, we vote for Jamil Mawad, he won an election, but we have the worst economical crisis during this period. One day, suddenly, Ecuadorians wake up and all our funds in the banks were frozen because it was a policy. Frozen, the funds. It was many very drastic measures that Ecuadorians couldn't resist, and we all together thrown out this presidency. His vice president, Gustavo Noboa, and he was a man, he finished the period. After this period, Lucio Gutierrez was the president elected by vote, and it's the period of the Ecuadorian history when we have the most high index of corruption in the country. It was a really dramatic situation in this period, and everybody, all the people, women, kids, everybody go out to the streets and begin to say, "Go out, Lucio, go out." All in the same phrases. Everybody in all the small countries since Quito to Cuenca, everybody say, "Go out, Lucio," and he had to go out. And he was the first elected president that he had to go out. Alfredo Palacio, his vice finished this period. And like you can see, a lot of instability during this time. After this time began Rafael Correa period. He was elected president since November 2006. He was a non-traditional political man. He had an important role when he was a Ministry of Economy. He was studied in economics in Belgium, and after he made a degree, a doctorate degree here in Illinois University in the United States, he was more related to academicians, university professors, and NGOs people. That's why, as important as his management is his cabinet. All the cabinet is formed by academicians, by ex-NGOs people, and I can say that it's one of the most important planification time in Ecuadorian history. And I can tell you that is one of the times that the team work as never happened in the past. They really work, they are really demanding, and I think that this kind of technical approach is because he was a technical man, not really a political man. Of course, it's important to show you the critiques too, and the principal critiques in his period are related with this kind of clashes with the press. He is really, his personality is really intolerant, and he has a lot of clashes with the press. He makes radical change, and you can see the difference between the last period and the difference. And the lack of consensus is a really bad issue in this period. When he became president, he had many consensus with the indigenous sector, with the media too, but now we have lack of consensus, unfortunately. But his new affairs of the campaign, all of them are related with the different types of democracy: the electoral democracy, the cyber democracy, the indirect democracy, representative democracy, and I will show you how can he are pretending to do it. To be more visual, you can see that the timeline in political Ecuadorian history was in these three basically periods. 1996, 2006, one president by year. 2006, 2013, we had a special time in our democratic history. Why it was special? Basically because we had a new constitution from 2008, and it was the opportunity to really build civil society in our country. We are really small, and we could conduct a lot of participation process in all the country. We really have political dialogue to get this new constitution, to have all the influence that we need, and to really have a real constitution for our demands, for our needs. And in this time, we have 4 elections, 4 different topics, about the questions, about the most important issues, and around all the country, we had tables for participation in many, in different local governments, in national governments, and all of these demands were translated in the Constitution. During this time, we have 2 elections for the presidents and 4 referendums for the Constitution, and the opportunity to really share all the contents of this Constitution. Just to tell you, all the Ecuadorians have one constitution in a pocket. We have a pocket constitution for each one. That was a kind of campaign to be a part of the public, to sense that we are not just inhabitants in a society, but we are as citizens with our rights, with our demands, but we can be a part of this public. It only happened in this time, 2006 and 2013. That's why our civil society became more organized, became more analytic too, and with the different tendencies, we learn how to build in the difference, you know, the real fact for the democracy, to build between difference. And now will be the 3rd real period of Rafael Correa. But I want to make just a kind of icebreaker, just to compare our democracy with the rest of the world. And I don't know, some people who know Ecuador or about the experience could say, if I have to, for example, Ashmali, if I have to ask you, in which place did you put Ecuador between 1 and 153 in a democratic index, what should be the place? Okay. Just to, for our comment.
Do I have time to take it?
Just guess.
20.
No, it's like, in which place from 1 to 153?
Oh, 100, I thought it's 53. 70.
Well, the economists run a democratic index, and they placed us in the 89th place. We are ranked like an 89th place. We have less democracy than Honduras. We have a bit more democracy than Tunisia, and a bit more than Lebanon. And yes, it's important to analyze these different approaches. The categories that they use are related with the electoral process and pluralism, the functioning of government, the political participation, the political culture, and the civil liberties. That's why we are in this place, and they consider us like a hybrid regime. We are not really a plenty democracy. We are just a hybrid regime. They consider hybrid regime when the elections have substantial irregularities that often prevent them from being both free and fair. That doesn't happen in Ecuador. Of course, we have transparency in all the process. Anyone could go to Ecuador, could observe the elections in general, and you have the right to elect and be elected. We have a law for transparency, and you, as a one person, could go and be an observer. You have the right for that. That it doesn't happen in Ecuador. Government pressure on opposition parties and candidates may be common. It doesn't happen either. We have 8 candidates in the past Sunday. Everyone could be elected as a president. Of course, the government have more presence in the assembly and in all the instances, but it doesn't mean that we have pressure for doing it. Hybrid regime, because serious weakness are more prevalent than in flawed democracies in political culture, doesn't happen in Ecuador neither. Corruption tends to be widespread and the rule of law is weak, civil society is weak. I don't believe that for all the reasons that I explained in the beginning. And of course, we have to improve our index for corruption, but I think that comparing with the past or comparing internationally, our rank is improving day by day. I think that in the last issue, that typically here there is harassment and pressure on journalists, and the judiciary is not independent. Unfortunately, we had these problems in Ecuador. We had some doubts about the judiciary is not independent. And of course, with the media, we had a lot of troubles. That's why we are ranked as a hybrid regime. Now, again, with Ecuador issues, the political organization there, since our constitution in 2008, Ecuadorian state have 5 functions: the electoral function, the legislative function, the executive function, the judicial function, the transparency and social control function. Only for the president and vice president, the legislative function for the assembly, you have to elect it by vote. But for the rest, you have to elect it by participation contest organized by this transparency and social control function. And Ecuador is organized as a presidential representative democratic republic. We have a multi-party system. The president and the vice president form the executive branch of the government. We have 137 members in the assembly. The president elections take place under a 2-round majority runoff system, and the president and the vice president are elected on the same ticket by popular vote for a 4-year term and can be re-elected for another 4 years. About the assembly, we have these 137 members. All the members are elected for 4 years too. One important thing that we changed since this constitution is that we have an international representation. 6 seats are reserved for representatives of Ecuador abroad. That means that 2 representatives are from Asia, Australia, and Europe, 2 from Canada and United States, and 2 for Latin America, the Caribbean, and Africa. It's important to contrast and think about your own countries, what happened about the citizens that are abroad. And one important change is that the single-member districts were redrawn in 2012 to allow more proportional representation across the country. Talking about the main political parties, we have 10 main parliamentary parties until the past Sunday, because the elections just ran this Sunday, and probably it could change. But until the last week, we have 10 main parliamentary political parties, 62% from the government. As you can see in this picture, most of them are from the government. Now, who ran the past Sunday 18? We have 8 candidates. The first row is from the president, and the second is from the vice presidents, all together. The first candidate were Lucio Gutierrez, the last president, whom was defeated for high ranks of corruption, and he was trying to be elected again. The second were Álvaro Noboa with Anabela Sin. They both are a couple. He was pretending to be a president with his wife. That could happen just in Ecuador. It's the 5th time that he is running for the election, the 5th time. He's the richest man in Ecuador. Of course, he could have all the money to continue trying to be a president, all the years he could. It's important. I don't want to talk for everyone. I am on time. But, for example, Norman Rai is this one. Is a young man whom is becoming, he's beginning a political career. He is just 40 and he is running for, as a candidate for a president. He was in the past part of the same government, but for some disagrees, especially in the judiciary issues, he is now in the opposite. And it's important to mention it, that he began his actuation and his party, Ruptura de los 25, begins just in the constitution time. And they have a very important proposals, and they have a very good opposition in the sense that they are trying to don't be extremists or to don't avoid everything of the government, but they have a very solid arguments to really build a better options in the general situation. Rafael Correa and Jorge Glass, his last Ministry of Energy, won the last election with the 60%, and Guillermo Lasso and Juan Carlos Solines, they were in the second place with this, the last night they were the features. Correa's 56%, Lasso 23%, Gutierrez 6.6%, Acosta, the last president of the assembly, 3.9%, and the rest less than 2% of the ballots. The official information will be presented on March 17th, but according with the polls, and according with the last information last night, it was the last results. With this approach, it's important to talk about what are the challenges that Ecuador is facing. And to talk about the challenges, it's important to present what are the achievements now. And I just selected in a very big terms that like achievements, we have the reconstructed highways. In just 6 years, we can see a lot of changes in our highways. That's an important achievement. Other is the new international airport. In Quito, the capital, we have our 4th international airport that, of course, will be better for the country and for all the visitors, too. In the economic dimension, we have record increase in the oil prices, and we have a huge media inversion with all this money. And in social dimension, we have inclusion programs for discapacities, and especially in education, we have many important reforms. All the critiques that I will present are related more than the character of the president. And of course, the idea is that he could improve these issues. The critiques are related with the arrogance and despotic character, with the desire to control the media, the judiciary, and the electoral management bodies. And I think that the substantial difference between Venezuela, for example, that is a country that they always compare us, is that we have the dollar as our official currency. And probably for this reason, we don't have this kind of inflationary excess of Argentina or Venezuela, for example. That you can see, the democracy never stops in Ecuador. It's a journey. And all your questions and comments will be welcome. Thank you. Ingrid.
I'm interested in your opinion or thoughts about the relationship between Correa and Hugo Chavez. And also, it was like that well-known case about this issue between like the government of Ecuador and the liberty of press in the country because of what happened with the newspaper El Universal. So can you tell us about that, please?
Yes, of course. Like I told you, Correa is really intolerant, and he gets many clashes with the press. In Emilio Palacio case, he was a reporter of the El Universo. He insulted the president. He said that he is an idiot and he is a dictatorship, and it was not true. And he come to United States, Emilio Palacio, and he said that he have a lot of pressure. He have a demand and everything, and he asked for the asylum to United States. But trying to be outside the country, trying to make a bomb scandal about that. But he insulted the president. I was trying to just wonder what happened if here in the United States someone insulted the president, say that is a dictatorship, say that he's an idiot. He is an idiot, he's a dictatorship, and all these kind of issues. It became a personal fight between both. And in any case that they have problems, it's like the justice have to actuate. But of course, the president demands him because he has personal aspects too, and that's why he demands he asks for a very high demand, because he insults a president, and in every country, in the world, he have the rights to actuate. But the case is very particular, you know. The way that Emilio Palacio take this case was very particular too, because he asked for the asylum when he was never be persecuted, and his integrity was not in game. It's like he was safe in Ecuador, but he insulted the president, and he have to know the consequence of that. And it was a case, a very known case, and that's why internationally we have this kind of hybrid regime or this kind of grades. But it's important to analyze in deep what really happened. But if I have to tell you just in resume, is he insulted the president and he have to pay the consequence. That's all. Yes.
Hi, Marcela.
Hi.
Well, it's very interesting, all this about the democracy in Ecuador. So I want to focus on the electoral system. I was surprised that you have just elections, but you will have like the official results until like more than 1 month.
Yes, 1 month, just one month. Yes.
Do you think that's like short time, or for me it's like a long time to have official results? So what do you think about that?
It's just, I agree with you. It's very long time, and especially with the technology. Actually, we can get in 2 days the results. But I think it's just to be completely technical in all the process, and to prove that all the process were transparent, and to really prove physically with the acts that all the votes are responding with all the information. But yes, we have a new National Electoral Council. The National Electoral Council were elected by a contest participation. Everyone, all the citizens in Ecuador could be a part of this council, and they are neutral. They are not from any political party, and they are following all the process, all the transparency process are their presence. And I think that 1 month is just to be sure that you don't have any mistake during this process. But the same National Electoral Council give me all the information that I present today. And of course, they are always in the Twitter, in the media, you know. They are very interactive in the proposals and in the way to make democracy there.
Do they have like a pre-results and then the officials?
We called exit poll. That is like you, at the same time, until 5, our elections finish at 4 p.m. Until 6, you can have the results according with the polls, or the just this moment polls. But the official is one more later, is March 17, we will have the official results. Yes.
Were there any international election observation missions to Ecuador this year?
Yes, all of them are welcome there. We have a National Democratic Institute there, the International National Democratic Institute, and we have the Europe Commission observing. We have United Nations, but everyone is allowed to go there and make the observation. Sorry.
You have president every year. That's what you're saying.
You have what?
The president's changing
Yes.
every year. So I want to know whether the president finds his bureaucracy or bureaucracy selected on merit. With this change of president's every alternative, how you are coping up with that?
That's an important question. We have not really a bureaucratic process. You know, according with Tinadabachi classes, all the process were built around the person. In the Lucio Gutierrez time, for example, they don't have any bureaucratic process. All the team was their relatives, their friends.
Okay.
You don't have any process really, any bureaucratic. Now we are trying to build really a very good institutionalization of the whole structure of the state. But in the past, no, we didn't, and everything were around a person, you know. Unfortunately, now this democracy with Rafael Correa is turning around a person too, but we are trying to build this institutionalization. Yes.
I have two questions. One is related to the pre-poll rigging, because
What?
pre-poll rigging, what is called that the government in power, so it like coerces some people or showers some favors to people just to enable them to vote in their favor, which the opposition does not have this advantage. So is there some kind of a caretaker government when the elections are held, or it is the government in power which holds the election? One. The second was related to the time period in official results, because in Pakistan that used to be a main concern, although the official results were available even after 2 days. But then the political parties in the last election made an amendment by which the polling station, which means there are more than 1 lakh polling stations in the country, each result of the polling station will be official. That means by 11 at night or 12 at night, you know what is the official results at 1 lakh location. So how do you ensure to the opposition that when the results are released this late and the government is in power, that all the pressure is fair?
Well, according with the first question, I have to mention that in Ecuador, according with the last constitution, the young people from 16 years could vote. The voting is optional when you are from 16 to 18. After 18, it's obligatory. That could be a reason because we have a high Correa, like a winner. Because the new people whom is formed, they agree with most of the politics of Correa, and they are a kind of votes they don't know exactly what happened in the democracy, and that's why it's like the most cohesive public could vote, and they could manage this kind of votes. All of the critics are around this issue because they are very young to vote now, but it's optative. And because all the system, or the educational system changed in Ecuador, they have the opportunity to have a civic as a subject in the career, and how important is the development in this government. And this, like, they could vote, of course, all of these votes could directly to Correa. That's a way that you could say that they could manage, they could monopolize these votes. And according with the second question, I think that, of course, we could do it in less time, probably, but our priority is to be really transparent and to don't have any mistake during this process. That's why they take more time, officially more time. But you can see now the information, and you can access to this information in all the media. It's not official, but of course, they are presented for the same people whom will, after 20 days, say that is official. But it's just prevalent the transparency in this process. That's the reason. Madeline?
Okay, thank you so much for your presentation, informing us about the democratic system in Ecuador. My question is about the fact that we unfortunately notice in a lot of countries throughout the world that democracy is a difficult system to be implemented. And I always wonder why. So basing ourselves to the Ecuador experience, and can you tell us about what should the Ecuador government expect from you as proposals to maybe contribute to the improvement of the system, or to try to succeed in a concrete implementation of democratic issues? I mean, what can you bring to Ecuador as proposals to make the system more transparent for the coming elections, or for the government which has just been elected and they are working? So what's a concrete proposal?
Your question is really deep and it's not easy to answer really, because in the past, before to work for the National Electoral Council, I worked for the National Secretary of Transparency, and we make some research about what happened in our culture. And we conclude that we have to change our habits since we are in the school, because we have, for example, the habit to cheat during the exam. In my country, unfortunately, that's normal. It's not a big mistake. And when you became with this kind of practice, you consider you are very tolerant with these practices. After, you could be a corruptor potentially. You know, I don't want to say that the kid who is cheating in the test is corrupt, because they are very different, a lot of difference. But I want to explain that if you begin with bad habits when you are a child, you could be really a corruptor man. It's very easy, because you learn how to go to the easy way. You learn that everything you could get with easy ways. And that's the real challenge in corruption terms. It's like, it's not easy, but you could make a lot with your example, for example, for the new generations. If you make how best you can, you are contributing to the country, of course. All of these campaigns are talking about that. For example, we have important campaigns about, you saw Ecuador in the video, say, Ecuador loves the life. We are a part of this life. We have to be happy. We have a campaign to be smile. You have to smile. You have to be propositive. You have to be a part of the public. It's not only a government role, but it's a role of the citizens too. I am conscious that I build my country. I am responsible to be a part of the solution or a part of the problem. But it's many years that we are thinking about it, that we know how responsible are we from all the things that happens in Ecuador. And of course, we are responsible to throw out the presidents too. And we will throw out, if any president come again and make this kind of corruption acts, we will throw out again, of course, because we are responsible of that.
How is the president thrown out?
How is what?
How is the president thrown out? Is there any constitutional way to oust him, or it's just the people revolt?
Well, we have the constitutional way to throw out the president. If we consider that he is crazy, that
Who considers?
the assembly, but the power that the people have, you can imagine. It's like if everybody go out to the streets and begin to say, go out, you can do it.
That means it's basically people taken to the street is the way to remove the president.
We consider that as a social pressure. You know, the social pressure could throw out.
Is there any constitutional way also, assembly voting him out?
Yes, you have to be supported for. Yes, you can manage it. In the past, September 13, they were trying to throw out Correa too, but with military. And they were trying to kill the president. But the people, the social pressure, don't allow that, you know? And it's like, it's not easy. It's really, it could be really violent, because in this time, many people die. They was trying to kill the president, the military, you know? They was trying to throw out the president by military way, but finally they couldn't. And they could manage this. If you ask me about that we have in the constituent a way to defeat a president, yes, you have. But they are a kind of political management too. It's not about just the assembly, because we consider the social pressure as important as the assembly says.
Social pressure is all right, but social pressure, 10% people of the country on the street may look huge numbers, but it's just 10%. Just 90% may be supporting the president who are not coming on the street.
That's the thing.
That's something very subjective.
The thing is that we are really a small country, and if you have the same presence in the whole republic, you could do it. You know, it's different like India. In India, I can't believe these kind of things because you are a huge country, we have a lot of difference, but we are a kind of the same structure. We have the same, we are kind of the same, not exactly, but if you share and spoil with all the country this sense, of course you could throw out a president. You could. Gina?
Thank you. It was very interesting, your presentation. And I wonder, I have a question, particularly the characteristics that Korea has had in the policies with the exterior, with other countries. So the way we see it in Mexico, for example, is like there is like a very powerful relations among many countries in South America, and that has been different from the previous years. I mean, the 30 years ago was not as strong, and we think, of course, that it's just this process of the democratic system, but as well that we have had like building institutions and having like very clear policies. I mean, for relating with other countries. Which ones do you think are those ones to get like a better relations and strong, coalitions in the South American region?
I think it's really an important question in the sense that we are a part of many of UNASUR, many initiatives, international initiatives to build together. But unfortunately, these kind of initiatives never have really a guide or really a road to grow in these international fields. I think that Korea, of course, are trying to get a more multidimensional approach, you know, with many countries, trying to have the same sense as Venezuela, Colombia, Peru, Argentina, but it's not really, I can't say that it's really something that we build. We have to improve more in this sense. And I think that all the conversations turning around these issues are until in the middle. We have to improve more. We have to be more transparent in what are really our needs, because we have different needs depending on different countries. We are not the same as Argentina, for example, I told you, because the economy, and we are, I don't think that we are well prepared to have a really a common agreement to really establish new options. I think that we have to improve more in the international aspects. And of course, I don't think that it could be some achievement that I could say it here. Especially this kind of treatment of the international politics with the United States is not beneficial at all. It's like internationally, it's not really well. We could sense that we are very autonomous, that we have sovereignty, but in more practical terms, I think that it is not beneficial, and we have to improve in these international issues a lot. Hi.
I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about the role of the media. I know Korea doesn't have a very good relationship with the media, the lawsuit, libel, and things like that. So I was wondering, sort of, how do you see that interplay, as sort of a positive or a negative, or what role you think that has?
I think they play an important role. I think everyone could really say what is happening. After Emilio Palacio situation, they are a bit more they have to think more about what they say. And I think they are not, the great problem is that Korea don't have any consensus with the media. And it's like you can feel that they are always in the opposite. You know, it's like you never will show in the press these indicators, for example. They always show the bad things because they are considered like the opposite. And their role is to show just the bad things and make all these things huge. And they don't think about, for example, the very good highways that we have or a very important programs that we have, because they are in the opposite. And the most important media in Ecuador are from the richest mans, and they are, of course, in the opposite of Korea. They are from this other candidate who were in the second place. And of course, all the campaigns were directed for other candidates, for these ones, for the richest mans, but they finance the media, and that's why they could manipulate the information too. Now, the government have a public press, a public media, but they are not neutral neither. It's like we don't have a kind of we have in media, in social media, this kind of space, but not like a press very neutral, or we don't really have a neutral position in this case. Yes. Dalia.
I have a question. Do you have any women parliament?
Yes.
Like, is there any specific percentage, or it's open?
Yes, I think talking about gender equity, we conquer a lot of important laws in this case. We have, for law, the women begin to be a part of the assembly. And in the cabinet, in Korea's cabinet, we have the 70% of women ministries. That's really important. Yes. Yep, 7-0. And our most important ministries they are women. Yes, yes. And we don't have just the issue that the women have to be a part of the assembly and they could be just in the last places. No, we have a peer law that is like one man, one woman, one man, one woman. It's like in alternate. And in the beginning, it was just like an obligation that every woman could be a part of the public sector and in the assembly, for example. But now I think that after many years, the women begin to be more well prepared to be a part of this process. In the beginning, you can find any kind of woman, models, you know, in this sector. But now I think that they are more well prepared to be a part of this process. Yes. Ingrid.
Peru and Ecuador are similar in many different ways, but in economic terms, they both depend on commodities. So in Peru, like almost every time we are starting a new big project related to the extraction of our natural resources, we have big conflicts with the indigenous community. I have heard about this also in Bolivia or even in Chile. So I was wondering if you have these kind of issues too, or how do you manage it?
Yes, we are focused in the environmental issues, and that's a very we have a problems with this field too, because we have this kind of different positions between to preserve all the nature that we have, or we have to, or if we have to exploit this zone. For this factor, Korea began a fight between the indigenous, you know, and that's one a part of this lack of consensus that I mentioned, because they don't really have an agree in this field. Many initiatives around this field are going, and according with our constitution, the nature have rights exactly as an individual in the society. We consider the right for the nature. that was really a polemic around the world, but it's like we are trying to get a common agreement. And for example, with the project of Yasuni ITT, it's a very huge program to preserve one zone in the jungle. It's a huge problem to don't explode this zone and preserve. But you know, it depends on many agreements, and now it's an initiative, and we can say that we really get it. It's an important issue to talk, but we didn't get all the consensus that we need. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Ana Marcela.
You're welcome.